Second part of Part 2, Question 47, Article 12, whether prudence is in subjects or only in their rulers. And this isn't subject versus object, but subjects as in citizens, well, more like subjects as serfs, or even as slaves. A king steps out onto the balcony and greets my loyal subjects. And this was, after all, centuries before the birth of modern liberal democracy. And the key to being a loyal subject of the king was being a loyal subject of the king, not in thinking for yourself. He leads, you follow. Aristotle, however, distinguished between two different types of prudence: legislative for rulers and common prudence for the rest of us, which you may find surprising if you've heard about Aristotle. He had a theory that some people were, quote, natural slaves. But what did he mean by that? Well, one thing he meant, and this is something Aristotle inherited from Plato, is that the leader of the community should be the wisest, the most rational, the philosopher king. Other members of the community, we need virtues also. Soldiers must have valor and courage. Merchants must have honesty. But rulers are the ones that need prudence. On the other side of the spectrum, slaves should not, must not evaluate the commands of their masters, but only obey. Thomas responds, but not in the way that Jefferson or Robespierre or even Martin Luther King Jr. might respond. Thomas, remember, was from an aristocratic family, and he never doubted the existence of classes of hierarchy in society. Serfs must act as serfs, just as aristocrats must act as aristocrats. But the saint looks past this outer world and into the inner reality. Quote, every man, for as much as he is rational, has a share in ruling according to the judgment of reason. He is proportionately competent to have prudence. Every man takes part in the threefold office of priest, prophet, and king. All lay people do that to some extent. Reply to objection 1. Prudence is not proper to serfs as serfs, but is proper to serfs as rational creatures, as men. Serfs do not take counsel in the same way rulers do, but we do take counsel insofar as we are rational animals, doing our jobs, using that prudence, that practical human wisdom, decision-making, rationality in command of the lower powers. And Thomas is not saying that the opinions of serfs should be taken into account the same way that later reformers would say that all men, or some men, and then some men and some women, and then a larger percentage of the population should have our votes counted. We know that demagogues can and do stir up mobs by appealing to those, quote, lower powers. Thomas is saying something much more radical. He's saying something that is a necessary precondition for those democratic revolutions. Yes, the rational should rule the irrational. Yes, to hierarchy. But the serf, even the slave, is a fully rational creature, is that kind of creature, is human, is a rational animal that cannot help having that inner life, that has that inner life, even if we are not in a position to execute authority over public affairs. And even people who do execute authority over public affairs do that for only part of their lifetime. This is not a call for political equality as much as it is a call for human dignity and our recognition of human dignity. Prudence is in rulers. Is it also in their subjects? Yes.